The anime begins with a character manifested in the form of a sword, possessing extraordinary skills and the ability to think independently and move freely without anyone touching it. On one occasion, the sword stood in its natural place, contemplating how it had endured all this stillness and how it had remained without an owner until now. Its thoughts were interrupted by the appearance of 4 ghouls who attempted to remove it from its spot and take it away. When they failed, one of them became furious and spat on it. Annoyed, the sword exclaimed, "Spit on me with such arrogance? You are of no use." It then activated its self-movement skill, emerged from its place and defeated them all. After vanquishing them, the sword noticed its statistics had increased and its power had risen. At first it did not understand the cause of this change, until it realized that it was due to the crystals within the ghouls. Each time it shattered one of these crystals, its strength grew and its abilities improved. From this realization, an idea struck: to venture into the world in search of more ghouls, defeat them, obtain their crystals, and further amplify its power. Then it said to itself, "I must go to the very home of the ghouls. There I shall find many crystals." It left its place and headed toward the forest. Arriving at the ghouls' lair, it succeeded in killing their leader and obtained a crystal that enhanced its power to an even greater degree. It did not stop at the ghouls alone, but began traveling to different locations, encountering various monsters, sometimes snakes, sometimes massive beasts. The outcome was always the same. The sword defeated them and seized their crystals, allowing it to surpass the limits of its strength. At that time, it said to itself, "I must venture into stronger forests, for these creatures no longer add anything to my power." It set out happily, yet its joy was short-lived, for it accidentally fell into a muddy area. When it tried to escape, the soil closed in around it, immobilizing it. It attempted to use all its skills, but to no avail. The earth held it firmly in place. Resigned, the sword said, "There is no hope of escaping alone. O Lord, send someone to rescue me, whether a prince, a common man, or even a ghoul, so long as I can get out." At that moment, a small, frail girl named Firan appeared. She was the possession of a man with the appearance of a pig who had placed a device on her neck to control and torture her at will. Firan had grown weary and lost hope of escape, praying to God to distance her from this man, nearing the brink of death. One day, the man was beating one of her friends, and she attempted to stop him. He subdued her through the device, shocking her with electricity. She tried to resist, but the collar's power pinned her to the ground. Afterwards, the pigman took Firan and the other children into the forest to gather wood. Midway through, a giant bear attacked them, smashing their cart and beginning to devour them one by one. The pigman said to his companion, "Let the children delay the bear so that we may escape." Firan was terrified, unsure of what to do. She grabbed a piece of wood and struck the bear, but it struck her back with such force that it sent her flying. She saw her friends die before her eyes, yet she did not surrender. Suddenly, she noticed the sword embedded nearby and rushed toward it. The sword saw her as well and used its telepathy skill to communicate. "You are in trouble now. Pull me out quickly, and I will handle it." As the bear attacked her, Firan drew the sword from the ground. The sword said to her, "Do you know anything about fighting? No matter. I will share my strength with you, and you shall use it." Firan leaped onto the bear swiftly, striking it from above and below. The sword then instructed, "Now comes the crucial part. One strike to the center to end it." She lunged at it and ended its life. Firan thanked the sword, and as she was about to return it to its place, it said to her, "No, take me with you," she replied, "but the man will take you from me. I will not be able to protect you, for he controls me with this collar around my neck." Indeed, the pigman arrived and said to her, "Give me the sword you have. You have a binding contract with me. Hand it over immediately." Firan refused, but this time the sword intervened itself, striking the man and burning the enslavement contract in his hand, freeing Firan from the collar around her neck. It said to her, "From today, you are free. Not only that, but I will always be with you. However, this will cost you much effort and hardship. Are you ready?" Firan said, "Yes, I will accept anything that makes me stronger, protects me, and safeguards my friends. But what is your name?" The sword replied, "I have no name yet, so give me one." Firan said, "Very well, I will call you my master." And thus, the story begins, my friend. Get ready to enjoy what is to come. Afterwards, Firan took the sword, and they went to rest briefly in the forest. She heard a strange sound and went to investigate, discovering a group of ghouls attacking a passing caravan, nearly killing everyone within. She rushed toward them and saved them, receiving their gratitude. One of them offered to escort her, telling her they were heading to the city of Elisa. Firan agreed and traveled with them. Along the way, the man spoke to her about the forest, the monsters that had multiplied there, and their dangers. The sword was extremely pleased to hear this, for it would take on the task of eliminating those monsters and obtaining the crystals within them, further enhancing its skills and strength. Firan asked the man if he knew anything about the sword located deep within the forest. He replied, I have no knowledge of that, but the ghouls you defeated were very strong, with immense power. I assume you are a novice in ranking, correct, Firan? She trusted his words and said, strong monsters and adventure. I do not understand. He explained. The classification of monsters depends on their level of danger, which is why some people perish at their hands before receiving rewards. This was the first time Firan had heard all this. She asked, and what must I do to become an adventurer? The man replied, it is simple. Go to the Adventurers Guild and submit yourself there. They will handle the rest. Firan arrived at the city, which was extremely crowded, with people of strange appearances. Even the sword could not believe its eyes, seeing many legendary swords, and it realized it was not the only powerful one. Firan said to it, to me, you are a legend. There is no one like you. The sword replied, very well, let us go to the guild. Upon arrival, they found a large group of mercenaries, while the reception staff were impatient with everyone, wishing all would disappear. Firan requested a registration form to become an adventurer. The receptionist responded, you are a small child. To become an adventurer, you must first pass the real combat test. If any harm comes to you, we will not be responsible. Firan said, very well, let us begin. The receptionist took her to the testing arena, where she met the examiner, Donar Dam, a giant beast possessing 1,000 skills, enough that merely opening its eyes could make all in front of it fly. Most people were terrified just by seeing it before the test, but Firan was undeterred, accompanied by the legendary sword. The sword used its evaluation skill, noting Donar Dam's strength, and said to Firan, it is very powerful. Perhaps it is best not to proceed. Firan replied, you are with me, my master. I am not afraid. Donar Dam said, very well, let us begin. I promise to use all my strength. The test commenced. Donar Dam attacked Firan, but she blocked the strike. It increased its power and struck again, but the sword saved her just in time. Donar Dam became furious and unleashed all its might. Firan stood firm and said, we cannot remain on defense for long. We must attack. The sword replied, indeed. Firan struck Donar Dam, hitting its arm. Donar Dam said, excellent. You wield a sword that is strong and can heal. It attacked her again, but she blocked the attack using the sword's magic, grounding Donar Dam. She gathered all her strength and struck once more, flying back and smashing through the wall at the center of the arena. The receptionist exclaimed, my God, using the sword's magic and your body's movement simultaneously is like having two minds in one body. You will become a great adventurer. Donar Dam also acknowledged her success and took her to the leader of the Adventurers Guild, who said, you managed to defeat Donar Dam, which is remarkable, but you used fire magic and other spells. Can you explain how you did that? Firan remembered the sword's words, we will keep our strength a secret between us, and said, no, this is a secret. I cannot tell you. The leader said, very well, I expected that. He then used the evaluation skill to analyze the sword's abilities but could not uncover all its power due to the sword's barrier. Firan asked, does this mean I am rejected? He replied, no. There are some things I could not detect, but that is not important. In time, they will reveal themselves. The receptionist entered and said to the leader, everything is ready. The leader replied, let us grant you a guild card, so you may become an adventurer with us. Firan took the sword with her, and the time came to reveal her skills. The receptionist was astonished by the number of skills Firan possessed. The leader said to her, choose one skill from these to register on your card. The sword responded, keep the sword magic skill so we can execute everything we desire. Firan agreed and chose it. The receptionist handed her the card and asked, you have nothing to sell. Do you wish to sell anything, like valuable items or additional skills? Firan produced the great R's she had collected from the forest. The receptionist was amazed. What is this? These items bring 190 gold pieces. You have become wealthy. Firan was thrilled and said, finally, I can buy new clothes. She took the money and began to walk, but a group of mercenaries stopped her, seemingly intent on taking her money. The sword said, ignore them, they are of no concern to us. But one of them advanced and said, Give us the money you obtained. It is ours. It seems you are a fraud. The one assisting you is the one wearing glasses over there, making the situation tense. The receptionist became angry at his words, stepped forward, and struck him, saying, Firen gathered the remains of the slain monsters professionally, which helped her earn more money. As for you, you are foolish, and deserve to die. One of them retorted, We will not die. You should be punished. He raised his hand to strike her, but Firen blocked the blow, saying, This has nothing to do with you. He replied, Step aside. You are too small for this talk. Firen, enraged by his words, cut off his leg. His companion tried to retaliate but failed. Firen then asserted control over everyone and gave them a harsh lesson. The receptionist rejoiced at her actions and said, Well done. The one whose leg was cut off was very angry. He said, This is cheating. The receptionist replied, Yes, it is cheating, but not by Firen, rather by you. You will be held accountable for all the chaos you caused, paying 100,000 guild coins. She thanked Firen and said, You may now leave. Firen began to walk, but noticed a strange man who had observed everything. With his magical eye, he analyzed the events and realized that Firen was not ordinary, as she wielded a rare sword. The stranger, introducing himself as the city's blacksmith, said, I saw your fight with the mercenaries. Would you like to come with me to see my work? The sword replied, Why not? Let us go and see. The blacksmith took her along, astonishing people, as the city's strongest blacksmith offered his armors to such a small girl. They arrived at his workshop, and he presented her with remarkable equipment. The sword said, What is this? Not only is it powerful, but it is also beautiful. Firen asked about the swords he had. The blacksmith said, By God, the sword you possess is rare. Firen felt concerned upon hearing that and took a step back. The blacksmith said, Do not fear. This is the first time I have seen a sword with such intelligence. Firen asked, And how did you know? He replied, As you can see, my eyes are special. I can evaluate anything, even if protected by a barrier, like your sword. But do not worry, I am just a curious blacksmith, not a source of danger. The sword said to him, But you have more experience than I do. Do you not? The blacksmith replied, By God, you also possess telepathy, which is remarkable. Anyway, my sword, all swords here are strong, yes, but they are not at your level. For example, a sword with 100 power with you equals 200 with him. Firen said, I will try that. She listened and was reassured that this man was not a fraud. From this point, Firen and her master, the sword incarnate, continued their journey. Firen was extremely happy, as the blacksmith could enhance the sword's power from 1,000 to 2,000, a significant achievement for adventurers. The blacksmith then asked the sword, Do you know who made you, and what is your name? The sword replied, I wish I knew, but I do not remember anything from my past. The blacksmith said, No doubt, the blacksmith who made you was unique and highly skilled, seemingly legendary to have created a sword with such intelligence. But enough, I shall not dwell, lest you become distracted. The sword was astonished. So the blacksmith who made me is legendary. Did he make other swords like mine? The blacksmith replied, Yes, there are 5 swords like yours, currently stronger than you, but you lack only one thing, the experience that will allow you to surpass them. The sword rejoiced. Very well. Excellent. Firen then explored the workshop. The blacksmith asked if she wished to obtain another sword from him. The sword replied, I do not think she needs another, but we have a request. Can you make a sheath so Firen can carry me? The blacksmith answered, Of course, my child. The sword then showed the blacksmith the remaining loot from the ghouls Firen had defeated. The blacksmith was amazed. What is all this? I can craft the strongest sheaths and armors in the world from these materials. The sword replied, No need. We do not have money to pay you. The blacksmith said, Very well, I shall take a little from your loot. Give me 1 month, and I will craft the finest sheath in the city. As for you, Firen, I am confident you will become the greatest adventurer ever. Firen thanked him and returned to the city to buy new clothes instead of the old ones, as well as some dishes she and her master liked, so she could cook their favorite meals. They then went to the hotel to rest, as it had been a long and exhausting day. While sitting and talking, the sword said to Firen, You must sleep well, for we have many tasks tomorrow. But first, we must strategize, prioritize our missions, and develop our abilities according to our needs. Firen replied, You are right. I thought of that too, and noticed how Donar Dam healed himself after I injured his hand. We also need to develop our healing skills. The sword said, Very well. Rest now, and tomorrow we shall accomplish everything. The next day, they ventured into the forest to gather some plants for preparing food. Everything was proceeding smoothly, until suddenly, Fran heard the sound of an attack. She rushed to investigate and found a group of ghouls attacking 3 novice adventurers, who were trembling with fear. The ghouls were on the verge of killing them when Fran arrived just in time and unleashed her fire, striking down the first 3 ghouls, after which the flames engulfed the forest. The sword spoke to her. "Do not worry, we will extinguish this and continue the fight." Fran then activated her arrow magic, and a very large group of ghouls fell before her. The sword said, "Now, it is time to get serious." Fran soared into the air, hurling rocks at the ghouls and striking down another among them, while the novice adventurers stood in awe, unable to comprehend how she managed to defeat them. Afterward, Fran used healing magic to tend to the wounded. The sword said, "This way, we have added the skill of healing to our abilities. We are now complete." An adventurer approached to thank Fran for her assistance. She replied, "It is nothing. I am still a beginner and was learning on these monsters." One adventurer asked, "Do you not claim the monsters' rewards?" She said, "No, I take only the rewards from advanced ghouls." The adventurer added, "These contain advanced monsters, which means the Ghoul King is very close, coming to seize the world and dominate humans. This is what we call the monster invasion." Another adventurer explained, "Capable of destroying great cities, and the city of Elisa, from where we came, will be in danger. We must alert the inhabitants immediately." The adventurer said to them, "I have already notified them." Fran smiled and said to her, "Very well. When the time comes, I will deal with the rest myself." The sword asked, "Are you certain of your decision?" "There are far too many of them," Fran replied confidently. "I will not remain weak for long, and honestly, as you say, no risk, no fun." The sword said, "Very well, take care of yourself. Many of them are coming for you." Fran said, "Let us go." They launched their attack immediately, striking down one group with fire and another with her agility. She deflected every blow aimed at her, and her power advanced remarkably until a ghoul managed to strike her. Yet she did not give in. She wanted to prove her strength. She fought back, striking down many more, until one of them shot an arrow at her, wounding her again. The sword used healing magic to mend her, and she continued fighting until all were defeated. After the battle, they arrived at the blacksmith, who was astonished and asked, "Who has left you in this state, Fran?" Fran replied, "It is nothing. I was merely fighting ghouls." The blacksmith asked, "And how many ghouls were you fighting?" The sword answered, "Approximately 100. The blacksmith exclaimed in shock, "All that number? How did you get involved with them in the first place?" The sword said, "Forget it. We need you to repair our equipment and complete forging the sheath, for a great battle is imminent." The blacksmith could hardly believe what he heard. The sword explained, "While we were fighting ghouls in the forest, we discovered a nest containing a large number of them. Fran wanted to enter and eliminate them, but her power was low from the previous battle. We collected crystals from the slain ghouls, and some adventurers appeared, astonished at Fran's deeds. They were even more surprised upon seeing the nest, which had not existed before. One said, 'This dungeon is extraordinary, and Fran must inform the guild leader.' Upon arrival, Donar Dam sat yelling at her, demanding the number of ghouls. When we told him the large number, one adventurer said, 'This is not just any ghoul nest.' The guild leader immediately became concerned and issued a decree to enter the nest and clear it, as it posed a threat to the city. The blacksmith said to her, "That is why your rank was raised." He began repairing her sword and spoke to her briefly about the dungeon. "It is extremely dangerous, led by a very intelligent leader, equipped with every precaution against attacks. It is filled with wealth and gold sufficient for the entire city. You will receive great rewards if you succeed in defeating it." Fran rejoiced and said, "What an opportunity! I will give it my all." The blacksmith advised her, "Be cautious, and I will prepare the sword sheath for you soon." Fran returned to her room to change her clothes and clean her sword after the exhausting day she had endured. After having defeated a large number of ghouls, Neil approached her and said, "I want to talk with you." Neil took her to a nearby restaurant, and they had a light meal together. Neil said, "Why did you take your sword with you into the bath? Do you not realize that is a mistake? Being an adventurer does not give you the freedom to act in such a way. I also heard that you will be going on a mission to clear the dungeon. Even if that is true, be cautious, especially since the vice captain, a man who dislikes adventurers, will be present. If Amanda were here, I would not feel this concerned." Fran replied to Neil, "I have heard the name before." Neil continued, "This is a first-class adventure, and no first-class adventurer can accomplish it. Unfortunately, they all went on a journey to the Morrow Plains. Fran asked, "Tell me more about the dungeon." Neil said, "All I know is that it is a chaotic place, inhabited by a large number of monsters, all under one master called the Devil, who controls a vast number of ghouls and several smaller monsters that cannot defy him." The sword spoke to her. "So the ghouls we killed were merely the minor groups, and we still have to face their master." Neil continued speaking, but Fran fell into a deep sleep. The next morning, Fran went to the blacksmith to collect her sword sheath and begin her journey to clear the dungeon. At that time, Don Ardon was giving orders to the adventurers, emphasizing the need to eliminate the smaller monsters first, then slay the ghoul king and queen before advancing toward the dungeon master. Suddenly, a group of ghouls appeared, attacking the adventurers, and everyone immediately engaged them. Fran, standing uncertain, did not know what to do until she noticed a large group of ghouls attacking the cave entrance. She decided to confront them and eliminate them. Along the way, she saw a ghoul about to kill an adventurer. She leapt and struck it down. When she was about to continue toward the cave entrance, she found the other adventurers had blocked her path. She thought to herself, "This is impossible. They will get all the crystals, and I will get nothing." She activated her magic, soaring above everyone, and reached the ghouls gathered at the entrance. With the help of her sword, she unleashed fire and destroyed all the ghouls there. Yet she realized these ghouls were useless, as none contained any crystals. The sword spoke, "Leave these worthless ghouls. Let us search for others. The adventurers here will handle them. Come, we want ghouls with crystals. We need to strengthen our power." Meanwhile, the other adventurers began killing the ghouls before them, while Fran focused only on those containing crystals, as they would aid her and enhance her master's strength. Don Ardon and the adventurers started to suspect Fran, wondering why all the ghouls they had slain lacked crystals. They were required to collect them for delivery to the guild leader. They concluded that Fran must have entered first and taken the crystals. Don Ardon said, "Even if she took them, we must now catch up to her. She is a young girl, and harm may befall her." Fran had ventured deep into the cave, encountering new forms of ghouls. She said to the sword, "It seems we have gotten ourselves into trouble, haven't we?" The sword replied, "Even if we are in trouble, having taken the first step, we must complete it. Gather your strength and we will defeat them." Fran had not yet fully gathered her master's power. As the battle began, she found the ghouls already dead. She exclaimed, "Have you gone mad, my master? Were those the king and queen no one could defeat? I didn't even manage to fight them." She proceeded further into the cave until she reached a gate, which closed behind her upon entry. Suddenly, a large swarm of bats appeared. The sword said, "Calm yourself. Do not panic. Since their number is great, we must use the ultimate strike to defeat them all at once." Using the triple explosion, she vanquished them all, and her level rose to 17. She continued until reaching another strange gate. As she approached, she felt an energy pulling her. The sword sensed it as well and said, "No, stop. We must prepare ourselves first." It raised her protection level to a high degree and enhanced her adaptability to unusual situations, readying her for anything. Then it encouraged her, "If we emerge from here unharmed, and you manage to defeat the Ghoul King and Queen, I will prepare a plate of curry to lift your spirits. All you need is to remain courageous until the end." Fran, her determination strengthened, replied, "Very well, let us enter." At that time, Neil was worried about them, so she went to the guild leader, trying to convince him to reconsider his decision and remove Don Ardam from the cave. The leader said to her, "Do not worry. The cave is free of strange monsters. They are all just foolish ghouls. The adventurers will defeat them swiftly and return." But, my friend, Don Ardam was inside the cave, standing before the gate through which Fran had just entered, unable to pass because it had closed behind her. As for Fran herself, a colossal monster appeared before her, surpassing 1,000 in its stats, possessing additional skills, including dark magic. It was a creature capable of destroying the entire city. Seeing the monster, the sword said to her, "This is the first time I face a monster of such strength." The monster spoke to Fran, "Why did you not tell me you were afraid? You came here on your own feet, trembling." Fran replied, "I am not afraid." The monster said, "You seem weak and nervous, and it is natural to fear my power." At the moment her tension increased, a frail man passed by, telling the monster to finish her off. The sword recognized him, noting that his stats were trivial and extremely low, and said to her, "He must be the dungeon master, the one controlling this giant monster." Indeed, the man did not remain silent, continuously commanding the monster to eliminate Fran. The sword said to her, "But how can such a weak man control a monster of this magnitude?" There must be something strange. The weak man said to Fran, "You are human, and you managed to enter my cave. Therefore, I must evolve and reform myself as I conquer humans once again. As long as I can renew many monsters, I will possess the power to invade humans." The giant monster spoke to him. "Have mercy, you have annoyed us." Man froze, shocked. "What is happening? Why no longer obey me?" The monster replied, "From today, I will fight alone in my own way. Stay away before I kill you. And she is just a child. It will not take much effort to defeat her." The monster began to confront Fran directly, extending its power against her. It attacked them, and the sword was shocked by the overwhelming strength far beyond expectations. The monster attacked again, while Fran struggled to remain steady and resilient despite its immense power. The monster said to her, "This is exquisite. The power of your great sword. I must take it from you." Then it used dark magic, appearing suddenly behind her, severing her arms. The sword flew from her hand, and it seemed her end had come. But do you think the sword would remain silent, my friend? No. Using parallel thought, it moved itself back to its owner, restored her arms, and reassured her. "Do not worry, I am with you." The monster said, "It seems your sword is far stronger than I anticipated. Therefore, I must kill you both." It attacked again, but the sword defended her. The monster began to toy with them using dark magic, yet Master Fran discerned its trick. Realizing the monster emerged from the shadows created by Fran's body, she blocked all its attempts to strike her, then merged its power with hers, charging forward and severing one of the monster's arms. Yet the monster struck Fran with immense force, pushing her back, and activated its incredible healing ability, restoring itself in mere seconds. The sword said to her, "I should have helped you to finish it, but as you see, no one can handle this monster alone. We will try at least to defeat it, and if we near defeat, use the assisting wings and escape from here." Fran heard its words and launched a reckless assault against the monster, yet her strikes were too weak for it. The monster said, "I admire your speed and the strength of your blows. Therefore, I shall take the power of your sword. It seems to be a legendary weapon." Using its magic, it drew her power away, while the sword tried to prevent it. But the monster's energy was immense, and her strength was easily stripped. The monster assumed Fran was about to die, but the sword shared its power with her once again. Thus, the monster had stolen the pseudo-power. Meanwhile, the dungeon master released small ghouls at them, all of which Fran swiftly killed. The monster said to him, "Enough of that. I will act alone." Then it gathered all its power and directed it toward Fran, delivering a devastating strike that rendered her unconscious. Donardan and the other adventurers stood before the gate, hearing strange sounds. They said, "There is no doubt Fran is in danger inside." They tried to force the gate open but were powerless. Fran awoke once more, rising to face the monster head-on. Her master said to her, "My daughter, you are not capable of enduring this battle. Retreat, and that will be the end of it." But Fran responded with resolve. "I know I do not possess his strength, yes, but if we leave him, he will emerge to destroy the city, and many innocents will die." She then thought of Nili and the blacksmith, saying, "What fault have they committed to die? We must resist. We must end him before he harms anyone else. Give me your strength. Let us go, my master." Hearing Fran's words, the sword was astonished by her strength and determination, and said to her, "If this is what you desire, then it shall be as I wish as well. I have promised to protect you at all times, and I shall not retract my words. Take the power you seek. Let us begin." Indeed, the sword began analyzing the monster's stats, finding them all at their maximum without a single weakness. The monster unleashed its full power against them, alternating between shadow magic and lightning, nearly obliterating the entire area. Fran had no choice but to run and evade the falling debris. The sword said to her, "An idea has occurred. We shall target the dungeon master, for he controls the monster. Surely its power will weaken thereafter. I have heard Donardan mention this." Fran began her assault on the dungeon master, but the monster noticed and blocked her attack. She asked her master, "What shall we do? It seems the monster has realized our plan." The sword replied, "We have discovered its weakness. Focus on the target and we shall finish it." Fran then summoned her strength, launching fire directly at the dungeon master. The monster intervened, surrounding him to prevent the weakening of its power. The sword said to her, "We have halted the monster's assault. Prepare yourself, we shall strike. But you must stop the fire suddenly, then dash with maximum speed." Fran complied with the sword's instructions, but the monster countered, striking her across the face. Her master said, "Excellent. In this way, we cannot defeat him." He continued, "Listen. You will launch your attack toward the dungeon master. while you engage the monster until I finish him. Fran heeded his advice, unleashing fire upon the monster. Meanwhile, the sword swiftly advanced toward the dungeon master. The monster sensed the treachery, erecting a barrier to protect its master immediately. The sword employed self-propulsion, changing direction at the last moment to strike the monster directly. The monster tried to stop it, but the sword amassed all its power until it reached the final energy crystal, shattering it and vanquishing the monster, which collapsed into 100 fragments. Fran witnessed the scene and ran to the sword, crying, thinking it had disappeared. Yet the sword surprised her, saying, "This crystal is truly magnificent." Fran, shocked, said, "I thought you were gone. Why do this to me?" The sword replied, "Do not worry. This crystal can restore me exactly as I was." At that moment, the dungeon master found himself alone and attempted to summon other monsters for protection. But do you think Fran would let him be? Certainly not. She appeared before him and said, "Was all this not enough? You have wearied us from the start." He replied, "As long as this gem is in my hand, I can control all the monsters in the world." Fran answered simply, "Too simple," and immediately severed his hand. Before finishing him, she saw he had already perished, as if his soul had been far too weak. Thus, the dungeon was cleared of all its monsters, revealing its treasures. Donar Dam arrived and said, "What happened? The gate opened on its own. Did you defeat the dungeon master?" Fran replied, "Yes, there he is." Seeing her, the adventurers were stunned, for she had accomplished nearly everything alone. Donar Dam stood before her, greeting her. "I am proud of you," then suddenly shouted, "Did we not agree on rules not to be broken? Did we not say that no one enters alone? Why did you go to fight the dungeon master by yourself? What if you had died? What would we have done then?" Fran's fiery enthusiasm dimmed, and she walked with them, saddened. The sword asked her, "Why are you sad? You should rejoice. You have reached level 25. She replied, "Quiet. Do you see me being scolded while you do nothing? You are a master, but of no use at all." The sword responded, "By the way, I was thinking of preparing curry for you. Did I not promise?" Upon hearing the word curry, Fran's joy returned, and her enthusiasm flared anew, bringing calm and comfort to the atmosphere. Upon their return to the city, Fran went to the guild leader, who greeted her for her bravery and her efforts in clearing the dungeon alone. He said, "But this dungeon had a master, and surely that master possessed precious crystals. So where have these crystals gone?" The sword answered her, "I had already prepared myself for this question, but the crystals shattered during transportation, and I could not preserve them." Fran indeed listened to the sword's words and repeated them to the leader exactly as he told her. The leader, who had already expected such an answer, said to her, "Yes, I anticipated this result. That is why I want to introduce you to Ghost, the seer of the city, who seems to know nearly everything." Then he added, "Will you not stop lying?" When the seer heard that, he said to Fran, "Will you not stop lying?" She then remembered Nin's words when she told her that Ghost did not like any of the adventurers, so she became wary of him. But Ghost did not stop. He continued watching her closely, telling her, "Your lies will not last. I will uncover you no matter what," as he used his eye to analyze her. The clan leader asked Ghost, "Are you certain she is lying?" Ghost replied, "Of course. She claims the crystals disappeared, while she knows very well that crystals do not vanish that easily." Fran answered, "No, I am not lying." This made the sword analyze Ghost's skills, and it found that all his abilities were extremely weak. He was merely a first-rank knight who had not even reached level 30. All he possessed was his confidence, his persuasive tone, and his trickery skills that made people believe him. And since he was a noble, no one dared track him or question whether he spoke truth or lies. Fran said to the sword, "That deception skill is amazing, truly impressive. Come, let's take it from him." The sword replied, "Yes, I understand. You wish to steal his abilities just as the monster wished to do with you." She said, "Exactly. That is what I want." While Ghost screamed in front of the clan leader, demanding that the girl be handed to the knights so they could deal with her properly, the leader answered, "You do not know who she is. This is not an ordinary adventurer. She killed the dungeon demon on her own." Ghost said, "On her own? Then she really is a liar. Where are the treasures and the crystals that were inside the dungeon?" The leader replied, "I will not wait for you to ask about the crystals. All these items were delivered to the guild. These people risked their lives to purify the dungeon, while none of the nobles like you contributed anything. So do not show up now asking about treasures." The sword thought to himself, "Yes, leader, it seems we will enjoy our time with Fran." He also realized there was a major conflict between the leader and the knights. Fran immediately intervened and said to them, "Calm down. I will give you something to reconcile among yourselves. Ghost asked, will you give us the crystals? Fran replied, no, and she brought out the goblin horns. Ghost slapped them from her hands, scattering them across the floor, and said, did you come here to mock us or what? These horns are useless. When Fran heard that, she became annoyed. The sword asked her, what is your intention? She answered, kill him. The sword said, be careful. He is a nobleman. If you kill a noble inside the leader's office, your name will be written in the city's history, and we may be expelled. But I have an idea. What do you say we take his abilities instead? Fran replied, a brilliant idea, master. Let's take them from him. And indeed, she stole his skill. Fran then began asking him various random questions to observe his reactions and discover whether he was still a liar or no longer capable of deceiving anyone. And what happened, my friend, was that Ghost became completely confused, unable to answer her questions, standing there trembling and making strange movements. And when pressured further, he left her and walked away. At that moment, Nil came to congratulate Fran for what she had done, appreciating her courage and her achievement. Afterward, the leader asked about Ghost and why he had left so anxious and disturbed. Fran told him, I truly do not know what Fran did to him, but he no longer seemed normal. Nil replied, he is a noble, damn you. The leader answered, he is a fool and weak, and people only care about him because he comes from a prestigious family. As for knighthood, he knows nothing of it. All he does is play and party. And be careful, when he wants to harm someone, he hires men to do it. He will not leave you in peace, so be cautious in the coming days. Then he turned to ask Nil, is everything ready? She replied, of course. He said to Fran, good, prepare yourself. You have been promoted in the guild, and your rank has increased. Fran was overjoyed at her promotion. Then he added, not only that, go with Nil to receive your reward. Fran went out with Nil to collect her reward, and all the present adventurers congratulated her. The sword said to her, you must repay the kindness of those who loved you and supported you. Fran heeded its words and invited everyone to drink that night. After a long day, she went to rest, dreaming of the curry dish her master had promised her, while Ghost's condition worsened until he became a vagrant on the streets, appearing pitiable. The night passed swiftly, and the next morning, Fran ventured into the forest with the sword. The spirit of the chef manifested within it and prepared her a meal, and she rejoiced because it was extraordinarily delicious, wondering to herself, how can something taste this marvelous? They spent their day in the forest, but Fran soon longed for the city, so she returned. The gatekeeper welcomed her at the entrance, saying, be careful, Ghost is searching for you. He has changed completely, appears filthy, and seeks revenge. Fran continued on her path, and the sword noticed someone observing her, saying, ignore him and continue, but stay vigilant. She ascended to the nearest rooftop, and the one observing followed. Surprised by his appearance, she asked, who is this? Why is he following me? The sword replied, do you not recognize him? It is Ghost. What has happened to him? Even his stats have declined from before. Fran asked, why have you come after me? He said, I came to kill you. You turned me from a nobleman of status into mere refuse. Now you shall know what fate awaits you. He then summoned Joran, a blue cat he brought to exact revenge on Fran. She was frightened because she knew this cat had killed many members of her family. The sword said, do not fear, I am with you. Harden your heart and let their deeds toward your family fuel your strength. Ghost shouted in delight, believing he would finally reclaim his dignity. Fran prepared to face Joran with all her strength, but he overpowered her, throwing her to the ground and enjoying tormenting her. He said, finally, I shall hear the sound of breaking bones again. Where have you been all this time? Placing his foot on her head, he humiliated her. Fran remembered the man who had once controlled her and recalled her master's encouragement, saying she was the strongest adventurer in the city. Rising once more, as Joran swung his sword, Fran blocked it, saying, tell me, how many of my family have you killed? He replied, 5, 6, 7. I stopped counting. She said, very well, prepare yourself, for you shall be dismembered as you dismembered my family. Thinking she jested, Joran was struck by a swift blow that severed his leg, then his arm. He screamed, how did you do this? I am 1,000,000 times stronger than you. Fran said, do you still have breath to speak? And decapitated him. The sword stood astonished at her confidence and strength, increasingly admiring her determination to become the strongest adventurer in the city, proving the wisdom, beware the wrath of the patient when angered. All of this unfolded before Ghost, who sat in a corner crying and trembling with fear of Fran. She approached him, intending to strike his head, but a signal from the guild leader reached her, and she went to him, saying, this is not how you summon me. He replied, what could I do? I needed to bring you as quickly as possible, but that is not our current matter. Fran asked. Then what is the matter? He said. Ghost has fled the palace and stolen many goods, and now the city seeks adventurers to find him before the situation worsens. Fran asked, is there a reward for finding him? He replied, yes. On your way, visit Nell and collect your rewards. Upon leaving, Fran collided with a strange woman. Upon seeing Fran's face, the woman embraced her tightly, saying, tell me, mother. Fran could not stand her and tried to escape by any means, but the woman clung to her, as if she had known her for ages. The guild leader intervened, saying, calm down and leave her be, Amanda. Fran asked, Amanda? He replied, yes, she is the top-ranked adventurer of the city. Even the sword, upon observing her stats, was amazed, saying to Fran, with these stats, if she decided to kill us all, she could turn us into fried potatoes. Amanda shook Fran's hand with evident affection, while Fran remained astonished. She asked, do you know me? Amanda said, how could I not know this moon? Your voice fills the entire city. Are you not the one who purified the dungeon alone? Do not be angry about an unpleasant meeting, and I hope to see you again. Fran replied, I do not wish that. Farewell. Yet Amanda began following her everywhere. In the forest, the city library, the streets, and even daringly appearing before her in the bath. She did not let Fran catch her breath. Fran's chest tightened, and she went to Nell, complaining, that strange lady follows me everywhere. Nell said, do not worry, she probably admires you. She once ran an orphanage and loved the children dearly, and they loved her so much they called her the loving mother. Do not fear, she is kind and means no harm. Suddenly, Amanda entered and asked, and what are you discussing, Nil? At that moment, the rest of the adventurers in the hall were stunned. How could an adventurer of such power come to the guild in person? And how could Firen be treated with such kindness? But Amanda had come solely for Firen and said to her, see, we meet again. Fate seems to bring us together. Firen replied, no, you are the liar. You are the one who follows me everywhere. Amanda smiled and said, no matter, you may call me mother at any time. Nil interrupted their conversation, saying, Firen, the guild leader wants you. Firen approached him and asked, what is it? You call me every so often. He said, nothing, but I have an important task I wanted to give you. He opened the drawer and revealed several crystals. I collected these when I was a young adventurer. Do you still want one? Each crystal comes from a giant monster and possesses immense power. The sword commented, we want to take them, but I feel he is planning something. Firen asked the leader, so this is how you will give them to me? He replied, I will give you only 2, but under a condition. A condition? She asked. Yes, I will send you on a mission into the dungeon near the city. I want you to go with the adventurers there. Firen said, Spider's Nest? The mission sounds dangerous, but I will accept it in exchange for the crystals. He responded, say 3 at least. Why are you so greedy? The negotiation ended with Firen agreeing to the mission in exchange for 5 crystals. Then she asked, but why do you want me specifically? About you in the streets, claiming that you were promoted through favoritism and that there is a prior connection between us. Therefore, I want you to go with the adventurers to prove to everyone that you deserve this promotion and to dispel the suspicions. Since your entry, the guild has not been at rest, he added. By the way, if you go, I will allow you to enter the dungeon again. Firen asked, and how did you know I wanted to enter it? He smiled and said, I am the guild leader, but to be honest, I learned it from the library director. Firen said, very well, I accept the mission. At that moment, Amanda burst into the room saying, I overheard your conversation unintentionally, but I will also participate in this mission. The leader said to her, but the adventurers going there have a weak rank. She replied, and what of that? I have decided to join and no one can stop me. He said, very well, madam. As you wish. Afterwards, Firen went to have lunch and speak briefly with her teacher. The atmosphere was calm. She asked him, do you think we did the right thing in agreeing to this mission? He replied, everything is worth it for these powerful crystals. 3 of them come from 3rd-tier monsters, which I longed for, and 2 from 2nd-tier monsters, which will benefit us greatly. Her teacher began absorbing the crystals, increasing his level and enhancing his stats. Firen asked, tell me, what skills have been added to you? He said, many skills, but the most important is my ability now to summon assistance if we are in great danger. Night fell, and the adventurers gathered to begin their journey to cleanse the spider's nest. They encountered Amanda once again, and Firen still could not bear her presence. The adventurers introduced themselves. Among them were Cross, the leader of the guards, with his assistants, and Crad, the leader of the dragon group, along with his aides. Crad's arrogance and dislike for Firen were evident, hinting at potential conflict. Then they met the third leader, Freon, a kind-looking man whose power exceeded that of a second-tier adventurer, leading the forest group with his assistants. It was Amanda's turn to introduce herself. Once her name was spoken, everyone seemed to know her. They were astonished that such an adventurer would join a group of low-ranked adventurers. Cross asked Firen to introduce herself, but she didn't know what to say. She said, "Hello, I am Firen, a new adventurer, and I love curry." The sword commented, "Really? Is this the time for curry? They don't even know what curry is." Crad said to her, "So you are the adventurer connected to the guild leader, who got promoted through favoritism." He raised his sword at her, saying to everyone, "Now we have the old woman who came for amusement," referring to Amanda, "and also the girl close to the leader. It seems the beginning of this mission does not bode well." Amanda stepped forward and grabbed his head, saying, "What did you say? Repeat that." He hurriedly apologized until she let go. Once released, he said, "Very well, we will exempt Amanda, but I will not go on a mission with a girl exploiting her connection to get promoted. This girl is supposed to be at home." Cross interrupted her, saying, "This is not the time for your words. Amanda is with us as an observer, for if she wished to participate, she would succeed in the mission before we even start. Now, let me explain our objective." He added, "Our mission is to eliminate all the monsters we encounter and collect the crystals from the dungeon." Crad remarked, "This is easy. All the monsters inside are of weak levels." Cross responded, "We must be cautious. The dungeon absorbs the monster's power and uses it to regenerate itself. Moreover, it is divided into chambers, which will complicate the task. Be prepared and let us begin." The adventurers proceeded toward the dungeon. The sword kept repeating Cross's words about the crystals and the treasures the leader desired, while Fran walked beside them. Crad attempted to ambush her from behind, but she dodged at the last moment, causing him to fall face first into the water. Fran asked Amanda what had happened. Amanda replied, "Nothing. It seems he wanted a bath." Crad grew furious. "Only the old man is left to mock me," he shouted. Amanda seized him again, saying, "Will you ever stop? All you do is fall to the ground." They continued until they finally reached the dungeon, albeit late. Cross said, "It's fine. We shall enter in the morning. For now, set up camps to sleep in." They lit fires and divided the guards. Fran's task was to take watch. Crad approached her, saying, "It is shameful that a weak girl, who exploited her connection to rise in rank, guards us while we sleep." Fran replied, "I have exploited nothing, and I can guard you just fine. This is none of your concern." Crad prepared his sword, saying, "Since you are so beautiful, show me your skill." Her mentor interjected, "Ignore him. Focus on our mission." Yet Crad continued to provoke her. Fran's patience broke. She placed the stick she had been stirring the fire with and advanced toward him, saying, "Do you wish to face me? Fine. I will face you now." The sword asked, "Are you ready for what you are about to do?" She replied, "Yes, he was wrong, and I must teach him a lesson." Tension filled the group, yet excitement grew at the prospect of witnessing a powerful duel that would reveal Fran's and Crad's true capabilities and their worthiness for this mission. Before the duel began, Fran fortified the area around the camp, increasing the adventurers' burden and the challenge before them. She marveled at her own extraordinary strength and what she had accomplished, then stepped forward. Crad continued his provocation, saying, "A sword and a girl? No swordsman can defeat my spear." He attacked, but she blocked his strikes. Moving behind him, she struck, forcing him to block her rapid blows. His sword sank into the ground as she leapt upon him, striking relentlessly with the back of the sword until the fight concluded. His assistants carried him away. Her mentor said, "This fight will make them think 1,000 times before confronting someone like you." After the duel, Fran was surprised when Amanda expressed a desire to spar as well. Fran was shocked. Amanda said, "It's just training. It has been a long time since I last trained, and I feel very cautious." Fran replied, "But on one condition. If I win, you will not bother me again." Amanda agreed, "Deal, and if you win, you must call me mother." Fran responded, "Fine. That is a good incentive not to lose." Fran asked her sword to let her fight alone. "If something happens, you may intervene." The sword replied, "But this will tire you." Fran said, "Let me. I will rely on myself." Amanda unleashed her magical belt, striking Fran relentlessly, while Fran blocked as best she could. Crad and his assistants watched in shock at Amanda's power. Fran searched for a weakness to exploit. Amanda said, "Enough play." She merged her belt with fire, delivering a powerful strike at Fran. Fran dodged, and the attack struck a rock. The sword exclaimed in surprise. She must be insane. It is as if she battles a ferocious monster. Amanda said, "What is this skill?" "She blocked my strike. I cannot remember the last time my attack was stopped." Amanda continued her onslaught, while Fran resolved not to yield. She counterattacked with all her strength, using the wind to increase her speed and parallel thought to maneuver the sword independently. Suddenly, Amanda noticed Fran's speed and increased the swiftness of her magical belt to confront her, striking her on the side. Yet Fran refused to surrender and continued her assault toward Amanda, who erected a protective shield to prevent Fran from reaching her, aiming to weaken her power. Fran attempted to use her explosion magic to detonate Amanda, engulfing the area in flames, leaving all the adventurers astonished by the spectacle. Crad exclaimed, "What grandeur is this? We thought she was just a child, and behold, a ninja." Cross rushed to search for Amanda, only to find her emerging unscathed from the midst of the fire, still capable of continuing the battle. As for Fran, her balance faltered and she lost consciousness. Amanda rushed to her side, administering treatment, yet Fran was exhausted and could not rise. Fran found herself in another world, dreaming of her mother and the care she received as a child. She awoke to find Amanda before her, saying, "Do not strain yourself. Kroos and the others will handle the watch." Fran replied, "You are incredibly strong. From where did you gain all this power? Truly, you have defeated me, and I could not match you." Amanda said, "Do you remember the promise before our duel?" Fran replied, "I remember," the words heavy on her tongue, though she refrained from completing the sentence. Amanda said, "No need for that now. I only want you to trust me, and not fear as long as I am with you." Fran responded, "Very well." The young adventurers continued toward the nest, with Kroos guiding them through the location, explaining that the nest consisted of 6 floors. He described each floor, noting that the first floor was filled with columns and stone obstacles, alongside some minor monsters posing no significant threat. He reassured them, "Do not worry, we shall defeat them swiftly." Amanda began sharing her past with Fran to earn her trust, saying, "I once had an orphanage where I cared for children." One of the youths interjected, "I did not wish to interrupt, but it seems we are approaching danger." Kroos responded, "A group of monsters has been spotted ahead." Crad said, "Do not worry. We shall handle them ourselves." Indeed, the group faced a swarm of simple spiders, which Crad swiftly eliminated, assuring the others he needed no assistance. Amanda remarked, "Well done." Kroos added, "You succeeded in defeating the group, yet you destroyed everything. We could have harvested the webs. They are valuable and could be returned to the guild with the crystals. From this, I conclude that no magic capable of completely destroying the webs can be used. The most effective magic is fire, as it may burn them. So be careful, Fran." Fran was stunned by his words. They ascended to the second floor, where Kroos explained that groups of insects might appear alongside spiders. Meanwhile, Fran and Amanda began exchanging magic, and Fran said, "I want to learn more about skills, techniques, and magic." Kroos wondered in surprise, "How does Fran ask Amanda in such a manner?" Amanda replied, "She has finally begun to trust me, and will call me Mama." Fran said, "Calm down." Soon, Kroos resumed his explanation while exploring the nest with the team. Amanda began answering Fran's questions, saying, "Let me explain. Techniques are your ability to manipulate power and use tools." Suddenly, a monster attacked, but Gerard eliminated it with his spear. Amanda said, "Do you see? These are techniques, like how you wield the sword, or any other tool." Fran asked, "And how shall I develop them within myself?" Amanda replied, "That is the role of skills. They accelerate learning and enhance your techniques. Have you never undergone any tests before?" Fran said, "I do not remember." Amanda continued, "Could it be that no one taught you?" Fran said, "I learn faster than my master." The sword said, "This is not the right moment. You shall know who your master is later." Upon entering the third floor of the nest, Kroos said, "This floor is calm, with numerous openings where the spiders may hide, and their numbers are fewer." As they proceeded, Crad stepped on a trap and a wall fell on him. Kroos exclaimed, "We should have been more cautious with our movements. No one must make mistakes." One of them noticed an arrow on the wall and said, "I believe it stops the traps." Stepping on it, a number of insects appeared. Kroos said, "Did I not warn you to pay attention?" and ordered his assistant to use magic to disable all the traps, which the assistant successfully accomplished. Amanda explained to Fran, "These skills are not acquired. Only specific individuals possess them. Those who wield these skills use them effectively." Fran said, "I want the detection skill." The sword replied, "You are right. It will assist us greatly." Amanda continued, "Now we move to magic. Magic relies on 4 basic elements: earth, wind, water, and fire. By mastering these elements, you can perform spells. There are also advanced elements, such as sand, ocean, flame, and storm. The sword added, "We have the basic elements and one person among us who commands an advanced element." Amanda interrupted Fran's thoughts, saying, "To use all these elements, you must first determine which is compatible with your abilities. For instance, to wield water, you must be near a lake and interact with the water to master its magic. If you do not practice, there will be no compatibility. For earth magic, immerse yourself in sand." Fran asked Amanda, "This seems difficult. What about wind?" Amanda answered, "That is simple. Find a place with a current and prepare yourself." Fran replied, "Excellent, I will do that." The sword sighed and said, "Remarkable. Do not just listen to her, prepare yourself." Cross then instructed, "Prepare yourselves, we are approaching the 4th floor." He asked the adventurers to open the gate while Amanda continued speaking to Fran. "After all I have explained, there is complex magic, which involves combining two basic elements, such as water and wind to form ice, or wind and fire to create lightning." Fran interrupted, saying, "Lightning is an excellent idea. I want to try it." Amanda responded, "But that is difficult for you. You must first master both elements. It is not easy for anyone, so be cautious." The gate to the 4th floor opened. This floor was safe, free from insects and spiders. The adventurers sat to catch their breath and eat. Fran thanked Amanda for sharing the food, and from this moment, Fran began to trust her. After finishing their meal, Amanda continued explaining that very few people could wield complex magic. The sword said, "We must ensure no one knows we are capable of using all these elements." Fran replied, "Understood." Amanda continued her explanation. Even though Fran shouted and felt bored, Amanda said, "Enough, I will not burden you further. If you need anything, do not hesitate to ask me." Fran thanked her, saying, "Very well." Cross said, "Let us continue to the 5th floor, which is among the most dangerous. Everything is present there. You will find spiders, monsters, and traps. The greatest trap is the instant transporter, capable of relocating us to unknown places. We may encounter monsters unlike any we have seen before." Fran tried to appeal to her master to learn lightning magic, but he said, "This is complex magic. If you attempt it now, everyone here will doubt you. Be patient until we leave this place." The adventurers proceeded to the 5th floor, where they confronted a group of spiders. They dealt with them skillfully and managed to disable the traps. Afterwards, they entered the 6th floor, where the spiders were stronger, their numbers increased, and the entire team fought fiercely. Many fell, yet the spiders continued to multiply. Jared said, "These spiders regenerate themselves." Cross replied, "This will be difficult for us. We must retreat to the lower floor." Krat said, "Are you joking? How are we supposed to do that?" Suddenly the spiders began wrapping their threads around the adventurers. Cross called for assistance from Amanda and Fran. Amanda responded, "Very well," immediately. She unleashed her voice, clearing the area of danger, while Cross instructed the others to retreat quickly. Yet the spiders attacked them from all sides, fear overtaking their senses. They dashed recklessly, colliding with Fran, and all of them fell into a strange chamber, where the unexpected occurred. It was the teleportation trap room. Fran felt terror, and the sword said to her, "Hold on tightly and I will save you." But the teleportation was sudden, and the adventurers were unarmed. The sword could not protect Fran. Amanda took the sword and together they searched the dungeon for her, but in vain. There was no trace of Fran. The room closed, revealing to them the master of the nest, the transformed spider. Fran became weak without her mentor by her side, while the sword tried every possible method to save her but failed, for Fran was not with him. Those who remained with her were now being attacked by the transformed spider. It unleashed traps, incapacitated one of them, and crushed the surroundings upon them. The young adventurers stood frozen, unable to act, their thoughts spinning uselessly. Amanda said to them, "If it is truly the transformed spider that did this, Fran, who is with it, is in great danger, and we must reach her immediately." Cross replied, "We must move at once. Let us divide into 3 groups and begin searching in all directions." Each group set off, yet Crad and his companions found nothing. Amanda spread her magic across the area but still could not reach Fran. The sword, astonished by Amanda's power, said, "Is it possible she has all this strength and still cannot find a solution?" Tension among the young adventurers escalated, and arguments began. Fran struggled to resist with all her might, but she had lost most of her energy. The sword felt guilty for failing to save her, blaming himself for leaving her alone, knowing that any delay could increase the danger to her life. He examined his statistics for a solution, and finally discovered he could summon a creature capable of tracking Fran's location swiftly. Gathering all his strength, he summoned a colossal wolf, leaving Amanda astonished. The wolf was in a frenzy, and neither Amanda nor even the sword could control it. The wolf lunged at the sword, but through telepathy, he informed Amanda that the wolf had come to aid them. Amanda did not fully understand what was happening, but she realized the wolf would become their ally. The sword attempted to calm the wolf's fury, and Amanda told him that she had read that calming a creature required giving it a name, so it would become obedient and gentle. The sword contemplated a name. The wolf was about to strike him, but finally, he bestowed the name Arrow upon it. Instantly, the wolf transformed. It grew in size, its energy shifted to calmness, and its statistics increased immediately. The sword commanded it to lead him to Fran. The wolf began sniffing her scent, using its power to pass through walls and move in the darkness, skillfully avoiding traps. Meanwhile, Fran was still confronting the transformed spider, her energy depleted, lying on the ground, powerless to resist, reflecting on her weakness without her mentor, who had always guided her through any situation, no matter how difficult. But the screams of her terrified companions reminded her of her mentor's encouragement, that she was capable of facing anything in the world, and that he would never abandon her. Fran gathered her strength, pulled her companions away from the insects, and said to them, "As long as I still have 2 hands and 2 legs, there is no need for weapons to face the enemy." Fran began her assault on the transformed spider, while Arrow, the sword, and Amanda searched for her. Suddenly, Arrow stood before a blocked wall. The sword said to Amanda, "Fran must be there." Amanda replied, "Very well, step back a little." Fran used her magic and opened a tunnel through the spider's webs. Amanda warned the sword, "If we pass through these webs, they may close upon us and weaken our power." The sword responded, "Enough, now it is my turn." He unleashed fire magic, raising his power to the maximum, while Fran struck the spider, flying toward it with a fiery force that filled the area, pushing the spider back. At the perfect moment, her mentor arrived and rescued her. "My God, it seems you've been seriously injured," he said, beginning to heal her wounds. Amanda approached as if worried for her daughter's life, though that was not truly the case. Fran asked them, "Who is this with you?" The sword replied, "This is Arrow. Consider him your little brother. He is the one who led us to your location." Amanda turned to the sword saying, "Ah, to me. Who are you and what are you doing? Or are you doing nothing? I cannot intrude on another adventurer's power." Fran told her mentor she would reveal the truth to Amanda. The sword said, "From my observation and intuition, I see that she is not evil. On the contrary, she was very concerned for you, and tried with all her strength to find you. You may tell her that." Fran informed Amanda that the sword she wielded was a legendary blade granting her power, derived from the monsters she had defeated before. Amanda was overjoyed, having finally witnessed such a legendary sword. Their joy was cut short by the voices of 2 others trapped under debris, but Amanda saved them while the sword healed their injuries. Then, everyone regrouped with the rest of the team, who were surrounded by the spider and trapped. Nevertheless, Cross, Drad, and their assistants continued attempting to rescue the situation. Amanda and Fran joined to save them and tend to the wounded. Fran said, "You prevented me from using magic. May I use it now?" Cross replied, "Of course." And Fran unleashed fire magic throughout the area. Amanda responded with wind magic, demolishing the surroundings completely. At that moment, the transformed spider appeared once more. Fran prepared to face it herself, and her mentor said, "Come on, I've got your back." She readied her strike, but the spider wrapped itself in protective webs. Fran said, "It will escape again." Aro replied, "No, of course not." Then, the protective owl covered the area entirely, allowing the young adventurers to regain their strength. Everyone took a deep breath and began their assault. Fran used her magic to cut the webs encasing the spider. Meanwhile, Aro attacked the spider, which gathered all the small spiders around it but could not flee. The sword said to her, "We will not let it escape this time." Fran and the sword combined their powers, using lightning to strike the spider and immobilize it. Amanda watched in awe at the immense power Fran had attained. Fran descended upon the spider, poised to finish it, but it struck her with great force, sending her flying. Amanda, remembering the children she had once cared for, feared for Fran's life. Acting immediately, she unleashed all her power and struck the spider, defeating it with a single blow. Amanda ran to Fran to celebrate her victory, but Fran stood, affected and upset, wishing she had acted alone. Amanda continued to apologize, yet Fran no longer heard her. remaining deep in thought. Afterwards, they proceeded to the central chamber of the nest, where they discovered jewels, gold, and every treasure imaginable. Cross instructed them to collect all the jewels to send to the guild. Grad finally admitted Fran's strength and apologized to her, reminding her that she had saved his assistants. Fran teased him lightly and singed a little of his hair. Grad became angry again and said, "This time I will not forgive you," a scene that was amusing to all. Then the group lit a fire and sat to warm themselves, as they would return to the city the next day. Amanda sat down to tell Fran about the black cats she had encountered in the past. Fran asked where they were, and Amanda informed her that they had all passed away, which saddened Fran. Night passed and dawn arrived. The hero's mission was complete, and they returned to the city. Fran approached the guild leader, who was pleased with her and said, "You performed excellently." Fran replied, "Excellent? I failed," he answered. "No, of course not. You summoned a wolf, defeated Amanda, saved your friends, and returned safely. All of this proves that you were deserving of this mission. I will issue another permit so you may enter the dungeon you desire." Fran thanked Cross for issuing the permit. He asked, "When will you go?" She answered, "Tomorrow or the day after." He instructed her to head to the guild to develop her skills and thanked Fran for all she had done with him, telling her he would miss her in the upcoming guild missions. Fran then proceeded to kneel to enhance her abilities, where she effectively transformed into a sword sorceress. Afterwards, she visited Gross, the elderly man with the mighty magical eye, who welcomed her saying, "I have missed you, my lady," and prepared for her a luxurious and extremely light outfit, crafted from refined elements to aid her movement and protect her from any strike, no matter its strength. The sword observed and remarked, "Don't you see that the outfit is a bit small for her body?" Gross struck the outfit with his hammer, but it resisted the blow easily. He replied, "When you speak later, be sure to say reasonable things. I told you this outfit will protect her from any strike, so listen." The sword said, "Forgive me, I didn't mean it. I'm just worried about her." Gross reassured him, "Do not worry. I heard that you are heading to the castle, correct?" Fran confirmed, "Yes, we are going there." Gross smiled and said, "Well, I was thinking of moving there myself." Fran responded, "How wonderful. Then come with us there." Gross replied, "Your path is different from mine. You will travel by sea, while I will take the land route. Wait for me there." Fran smiled and said, "Until we meet safely." On the other side, Amanda was still reflecting on her past, unable to overcome memories of the children she had lost long ago. Time passed, and the next day arrived, the day Fran would depart. Fran bid farewell to Neil, Cross, and the rest of their team, including Grad, leaving past conflicts behind, and a sense of calm and serenity prevailed as everyone seemed sorrowful at her departure. Before leaving, Fran approached Amanda and said, "I'm going on a mission alone, and I will return much stronger." Amanda replied, "I will always be waiting for you." Expression showed sorrow and concern, fearing for Fran. As Fran said, "Goodbye, mother," Amanda remembered the entire past with joy and pride, recalling her memories with Fran's mother, who had chosen this name for her long ago. Fran began her journey. Everyone felt joy and pride in her, and the scene concluded with an atmosphere of sweetness and happiness. Thus, the events of the anime came to an end. If you enjoyed the video, my friend, don't forget the legendary like and subscribe to the channel to receive all new content. Until next time, see you in a new video, champions.